Hello, my name is Ralph Cantafio. I am a lawyer at Cantafio Song, Denver, Colorado. Today, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about the TransWest Express project. Very, very significant wind farm located in Wyoming that's going to move electricity ultimately from Wyoming through Colorado, then Utah, down into Nevada. Ultimately, we think to Southern California. Those details have not been quite finalized yet. Very interesting project, though. 15 years in the making, billions of dollars. One would think this would be almost a no-brainer in light of climate change. But as you're going to see, many, many details, many things that are not agreed upon. So buckle up and hopefully you'll learn a thing or two. So first of all, let's talk about wind in general. Look at this map. When you see the dark areas, they're typically along significant ridge lines. That is where the wind is a sustained 20 miles an hour or more. So those are the areas where you're going to likely see these wind farms popping up as we move forward. You'll see that in California, you'll see it in the Rocky Mountains, and you'll see it in the Appalachians. Like real estate, location, you got to be where you want to be. So the location here for Wyoming, you can see why it would be a very good area. And we're also going to talk about NIMBY in a little while. But the other thing that is really important about the location is not only the sustained winds, but when the winds are prevailing. Unlike other forms of energy, say coal or natural gas, you have to take the wind when you get it. And when you look at the wind in a classic, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, you want to try to match the higher winds with the use at the other end. So one of the areas where you have real high use in Southern California is when people come home from work in the summertime. That's when their air conditioning is going. So one of the things that works really nicely with Wyoming, that's when the winds tend to be the most sustained and the most consistent. So it's not only location, but it's when you get the wind. Right now, the ability to store electricity produced by wind and solar is pretty minimal. Hopefully, we're going to see some major developments there, but right now you can think of it more as a DC direct current type of thing. So the whole notion of where you place the turbines and when they're producing, hugely important. $3 billion is the cost of the project, not inexpensive. My guess is it's going to go up from there. But just like when you go to the grocery store and things become more expensive, everything's more expensive. So this is not a project to be taken upon very lightly. Of course, it's the Entrance family. If you want, you can look at what they own, sports teams and many billions of dollars. Okay, they're going to start this wind farm in southern Wyoming, going to pass through Colorado, then through Utah, then it's going to dovetail into outside of Las Vegas. At the El Dorado station, there are existing lines, and the terminus will then move into Southern California. We think there are no final contracts there, but obviously the Entrance family believes that there's going to be an end user. What do we know? Well, 15 years of planning is still going. The final entitlements have not been provided. We think it's going to be 2023. 600 turbines, big turbines. The length of the windmills that were quite large. 732 miles across 4 states, over 400 properties in federal lands. All this to generate electricity in Southern California, servicing hundreds of thousands of homes. Not the best or most precise estimate, but clearly a lot of homes, and clearly whatever the efficiency is when the utility is started, that'll increase over the years. Speculative, right now there is no end consumer, although Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is suspected to be the ultimate end user. There have been extensive negotiations, no contracts. As you can see, lots of electricity to be produced. Well, what could go wrong? Why do people not like it? Well, 2 different issues. One of the issues deals with just ecology. So these turbines impact the habitat of something called the sage grouse. However, this is where you get into pick your poison. If you're an environmentalist or an ecologist, whatever that may be, as you can see, the Audubon Society says the sage grouse will lose 77% of the habitat with 2 degrees Celsius increase in planetary warming. Oh, by the way, Paris Accords, 1.5 degree increase. And we're not even meeting that. So long story short, sage grouse is a complication for the development. Now we've overcome that. There's been litigation. If you're really interested, you can look into the litigation in Colorado that's now been resolved. But it's a good illustration of how not all environmental issues are the same, and not all environmental issues are treated the same by the people involved. So here, global warming trumps I shouldn't use that word, but it's a good one, the specific environment of the sage grouse. Let's talk about the government. Government loves wind farms. Why? Creates jobs, good paying jobs in areas that jobs are tough to find. We know in Wyoming, significant decrease in jobs in the coal industry. What else does that mean? Well, it means less taxes. So this creates jobs, creates taxes, and puts a dent into our air pollution, climate change, carbon footprint. And that's what most people think of. But again, here's this cost and benefits is that you would think this would be a no-brainer, but there are some people that are more focused on sage grouse, and that has created delay and litigation since resolved. But be aware that not one size fits all. NIMBY is the other problem. People love our alternative energy until it happens to be in their backyard. People love this stuff until they actually have to look at wind farms or solar arrays or whatever it may be. That's just a reality. I don't know how that really changes, but it does create delay, it creates expense, and people generally like the idea of alternative energy until they really have to look at it. And oh, by the way, that even applies to your neighborhood. You know, there are any number of issues involving neighbor A wanting to put a solar panel on the roof and neighbor B saying, no, it's unsightly. So, you know, just the way it is. So where's this project? Well, the final set of significant litigation was resolved this past spring. That's good. Looks like the entitlements are moving forward. Should receive something called notice proceed from BLM in 2023. At that point, we can move to construction. Right now, though, we are still in entitlements, and we've been at it for 15 years. So what do we think about all this? What does this really mean to us? Well, you know, everyone agrees that, well, I shouldn't say everyone, many people agree that climate change is an issue. And people understand why we need to substitute from existing carbon-based solutions to other solutions. However, the political climate is still a problem. You know, you still have to get your approval at the county level, the state level, federal level, and there are any number of private contracts. So it's not an easy road to hoe. The regulatory climate is not ideal. Why is it not ideal? It takes a long time. And oh, by the way, that's the way it is with everything, you know, including things like nuclear. Regulatory approval is very, very cumbersome and expensive. NIMBY, people love the idea of alternative energy, not in their community. Not everyone, and some people like it, but generally speaking, even though these tend to provide good jobs, the problem is you come, you put in your facility, and then most of the jobs are done. So then you got to look at a windmill forever, and people tend not to like that. And as we can see, there are trade-offs. You know, there's some people that prioritize the sage grouse, and other people prioritize climate change. And, you know, fortunately, compromises are worked out. but it's not an ideal situation. So what do we take away from this? You have a project that one would think would be kind of a no-brainer. Let's create jobs, let's create tax revenue in Wyoming, let's move the electricity through to California. We're dealing with areas that are not densely populated. What could be the problem? Well, $3 billion and 15 years later, we still don't have final approval. That's the problem. Okay, my name is Ralph Cantafio. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you have comments, you can email me, ralph@fncslaw.com, and you can actually call me on my cell phone, 970-819-2371. Thank you for listening, and everyone have a nice day. Thanks.